At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to Serious Star Trek. I'm your subdued and sedated host, Dantron. I went to the dentist today. I got half a face full of something. I got Dr. Zoidberg mouth going on today. So I will do my best. And on top of that, we got no doctor. The doctor is not in today. He's got important PhD type business. We would, even if I could understand it, I know you folks out there, you laymen out there, wouldn't be able to understand it. So why even bother? But who we do have a man. Oh my gosh! Because in a world where Sherwin-Williams rules with an iron fist, painted with the blood of his enemies, comes a man. He's a captain, but he's also number one. Number one in fun, that is. He's Captain Fun. He's Larry Young. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Dan Shaheen.
What's
Star
happening?
Trek. Cool stuff. We're going to miss John Price today. I'm like the one guy that's fired up. So much cool stuff is happening. It'll be good. I'll be like, when I need to calm down, I'll be like, Dan, how's your teeth? And you'll be like, man, it's all right. Thanks for asking. And we'll get that NPR public relations radio thing going.
Well, since we got no doc coming in, I had to write an extra fancy intro. I'm trying to write our way out of a content deficit, Larry.
I'm telling you, I got stuff to talk about this week, man.
All right, sweet.
So do you want to do the Star Trek bit first? That's what everybody's here for. Let's say hey to Dave Porter.
Of course, yeah.
CPX. I was thinking of him today. I was thinking of him today because he is the one. He basically, and Matt Shivers and Kevin Kamarley all got me fired up on the 3D printer. And so I kind of dipped my toes into it by going, hey, I found this file. It's my live stream to do this item. Can you print this out for me?
Yeah.
And Dave was like, I'd be happy to do that for Coin of the Realm. And I'm like, thank you very much. I'm full of silver coins and none of these. So he did me parts for a Doctor Who helmet, space helmet. Love Doctor Who. It's been going for 60 years, and this is the first time that the Doctor has his own spacesuit. So, of course, I have to do my own, right? And over the years, I've collected everything. My friend Justin Monk, who he worked on the CW costumes for, like, Flash. He did the Flash's boots all the time. He had production-produced patches from the fucking spacesuit, because he was going to do it. And he's like, I don't have time. I know you'll give it a happy home. So I got that. I got all his pieces for this thing. I got the woman who sewed it for Doctor Who to do my Doctor Who suit. So unlikely, I did all the soft parts. I collected the boots, the belts, gloves. I had everything. The patches. I didn't have the helmet. That's usually the easiest thing to do because somebody somewhere is pouring plastic into a bucket. But some genius in Switzerland or Sweden or one of those countries that starts with SW. It was an engineer and he designed these things, but it's taken me years, right? Maybe over 10 years to do this. So in that time, I got to be Facebook buddies with the guy who produced it for Doctor Who, right? So I got all these great behind the scenes pictures. I have this stuff, but I have the original like British air filtering helmet that they use to make the visor. Wow. They just kludge these pieces on. I'm ready to go, but I can't pull the trigger because this has been going on for so long. And this is my last like real prop thing. I'm helping Walker with stuff, but the last one that I really care about, I mean, I have Dave's suit from 2001, man. Like there's nothing better.
Yeah, what are you going to get better?
So I can't drill into this impossible to get British, helmet to drill the part to make the parts in. So I walked by it today, and I felt like the first roadie in Iron Man walking by the Mark II, the silver Mark II, and going, "Someday, buddy." But I said it to Dave Porter. I walked by and I was like, "Someday I'm going to finish that helmet." Because I have the mannequin. I have the suit all in the mannequin at the bottom of my circular stairs.
So did you say you have a 3D printer?
Yes. Yeah, it's right behind me, man. That's what's on the right there. It's
cool.
See that little stool? That's where my kid sits and monitors it if there's too much stringing. That's a thing. If the plate isn't level, I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Sure.
I've got to the point where, though, I can get him STL files and go, "Daddy needs a Moon Knight mask." And he'll be like, "I'll see you in 18 hours. Here you go, Daddy."
Well, I got to. So if I could send you an STL for a custom Serious Star Trek thing, you could make it real. You could, like, your synthesizers could make it happen.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to have to look into that for sure.
Yeah. Make something 3D and cool, and we'll print it for you.
That's my specialty.
Just because Dave helped me, and Kev and Matt Smithers helped me out in the old days. Yeah, Chris Sagastag is super 3D guy too. I knew I was forgetting.
He's the guy. Yeah, I thought
okay. No one's listening, right? It's just me and Chris and you and Dave. I have an STL file of Paul Rudd's head. I can't tell you how I got it. I can't tell you where it came from, but it's so big I can't slice it. So I think maybe Sagasag can slice it. I don't know. But if he can not tell anybody that we're going to do this, that would be great. Just the fact that I said this out loud has really tightened my sphincter a little. Because
it's funny because
I got a scan I'm not supposed to have. That's all.
I just got a 3D model of is his name John Berenger, the guy who played the Punisher?
Yeah. John Barenthal, I think. John
Barenthal. That's what. Yeah, Barenthal. I was just looking for Punisher models, something for hopefully, because tomorrow, Larry, we've got the notorious ERB coming back. If you have time to be there, that is.
Oh man, I saw that email this morning, Elliot Brown Part 2, and I was like, I might have to move some stuff around, but I'm doing it, man. I'm telling you, I'm a really big fan of that guy. So I would be a schmuck if I just like watched it, right? I have the opportunity. You've invited me to just like sit at the feet of Socrates. I'd be a schmuck not to go. Yeah, I'll move some stuff around. I'll be there.
Okay, cool.
What time is it? It's 11 or 12?
No, it's noon.
It's noon. Okay, yeah. I'll be.
I moved it too. I moved it a whole day for Elliot for sure. I'm moving it for making it Wednesday.
No, I mean, if that's a perfect example. If you moved your schedule around, I'll do it too, because it's Elliot Brown.
I know, dude, and I called him the Simon Cowell of the show, but no, he's the Mr. Wonderful, the Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. He's even got the same haircut. He's perfect, and he's Mr. Technical, not Mr. Wonderful. So it's a perfect synergy.
That's great. I don't know any of those shows, so whatever is the most flattering one. So when you said Simon Cowell, I was like, really? I don't know.
I don't like. Yeah, no. Mr. Wonderful is legit. I really like.
Start calling him Mr. Wonderful.
Well, he rattled a couple cages out there because
people mad.
I like to think that we bring the real deal. But what was amazing to me is that without reading the comics, just looking at the layouts and stuff, he was able to like instantaneously pick out really legitimate criticisms about the panel flow and stuff like that, just like instantly.
That's why I just sent him an email today. I'm like, hey man, if you really care, send me your mailing address, because I want him to talk about my comics like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're like 15, 20 years old, but that doesn't mean you can't learn something. And Elliot Brown giving a critique of your book, like, oh, you know what? All right. I just came up with an idea. My kid wants to be a screenwriter. He's written some amazing things. He wrote a spec script of Community that is killer. Like he totally nailed the characters. He was like 12 when he did that, but all that was in his head was Community. He'd seen it like 3 times, right? But anyway, now he's taking video production classes. He's learning about, the stuff. And so he's just writing these like 8 or 10 page short stories, but they're like little screenplays for his video class. Because they said, hey, give us some log lines. And he's like, log lines? I have 16 log lines right here. Why don't I go ahead and write 16, scripts, and then you guys pick the one you want to shoot. Like, that's who we're dealing with, right? Anyway, he wrote this great little vignette, World War II thing of soldiers, and I grabbed it, and I got the Philback brothers. You know those guys? They did Star Wars Digest for a long time, but they did like Illuminati Transport, Dog Soldiers. They're just fucking great.
Okay.
And they're friends of ours, right? We see them we share the booth every San Diego, so they've watched Walker grow up. And so I'm telling them, and they're like, send us the script. And I was like, really? Because that'd make a great Christmas present. So these motherfuckers drew his script and made this 10-page thing. So I was thinking that would be great for Elliot Brown.
Of course.
I just got the thumb, like the roughs, though. It's not finished art. But like, I don't know. That's what made me. I'm saying I'm an old man. I know how the sausage is made. And even I want Elliot Brown to like look at my
I want to hear what he said. I want to hear all the shooterisms that he has absorbed over the years.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty good, kid, but really we need to retell the main character's origin story in the first 3 pages of every single issue that you ever write for the rest of the.
but that's what's brilliant about his critiques is he'll give you a good critique. But it's couched in this awesome story that happened in the Marvel bullpen in the 80s. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, man, you get Elliot Brown and have him talk all day long.
He had some doozies.
He's awesome.
I've been trying to do some 3D renderings of some of his drawings, and it's a lot trickier than it seems. It's like a lot, even with all the modern software taking care of all the perspective and everything else, just like his sense of proportion and everything else was just like really great.
Can I just, as a fan of both of you guys, in fact, I would go as far as say as I'm the world's biggest Dan Shaheen fan and the world's biggest Elliot Brown fan.
Okay, we might fight about that.
I was going to say anybody, but as the positioned uniquely between the two of you guys, the genius of Elliot Brown is he took something that was, half imagined, extrapolated what 3D would look like, and then made it make sense in 2D for the kids, right? And he did that without a computer. And now you, who have the same kind of like, interest in that kind of thing, are like trying to wrap your brain about taking what he did with that recipe and pulling out a 3D thing with the help of the computer.
Yeah.
I would imagine like that's like I've just met everyone on the autism spectrum. You know what I mean? It's like you guys, between the two of you, you guys have everything I enjoy like covered, right? So that's.
Well, you do all this stuff.
Do that.
You do all this stuff in the physical world, and I just could never do it. I never had the patience to paint and sand and buff and do all the stuff that need glue and whatever. So like in the computer, I can just like build a thing and just then throw it away and then just build another, all for a little thumbnail image. Yeah, that's been my inspiration. 2 thumbnails a week.
But that's so awesome that it feeds that thirst, right? That like 3D is so cool that once you do all that, all you're doing is sculpting with pixels, though, right? You're sculpting and you have the same patience that you need to sand or paint or whatever. You're just doing it in a medium that you're comfortable with. And then the computer's so cool that you can rotate it, and in your brain it's like, yes, this has reality now. Maybe I can't hold it with my fingers, but I have the memory of this rotating around in space like I'm playing with that salt shaker I just bought my kid, or whatever.
It's closer to like collage or like building a diorama for me. Like when I make a thumbnail, I'm really building like a diary. I have like 2 elements and like a couple foreground layer, middle layer, whatever. Anyway,
oh, that's awesome,
Larry. Are we driving off the fans yet, or what's?
Okay, Star Trek. I got some Star Trek stuff.
What do we got in the world of Star Trek? Yeah,
because I don't really like Prodigy. I didn't know that it had come back for the second part of its season, the Thursday before Halloween. So I'm only 3 weeks behind, and I got to give it to John Suntrace, who was like, "Hey, Larry, Prodigy's really good," and I was like, "Yeah, it is," and then I've seen them all, and he's like, "Oh, no, you haven't." So for John, I was like, "Okay, Star Trek." You know, John's not going to care, Dan's not going to care, but let's do it. I started watching the third of the 3 new ones because it was this cool thing where somebody from the Star Trek time crashed on their thing, was its own like Prime Directive violator, and these guys got Starfleet wrong. So they heard Starflight, and they have these proto Star Trek uniforms made out of like tarps and leaves and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like the Coke falling down onto the tribal trope, that's cool. Let's see that. And it was like the stupidest fucking thing ever. I watched the first 10 minutes of it, and I was like, I just can't take it. And it's not that it's not that it's the stupidest thing ever, right? It's a whole bunch of people are working really hard to produce this exact thing that they want to produce. And so all that means, even though I'm observing it, all it means is they just produce this cool thing that's not for me in any way whatsoever. So I got to start saying that. It sounds a little dickish when I'm like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Very dismissive, right? It's not. It's great. I love the design of it. I love their new uniforms. I love the little badge. I just can't sit for adventures of these guys. I can't.
But I mean, is it that it's a kid's show, and it's like would a kid like it? Does the kid in Larry, if you can still get in contact, somehow get in contact? I don't know if you're in touch with your fun side, Captain, but like when you think of like a kid, and I think about a kid of today who's doesn't know Star Trek necessarily, even like, is it a fun cartoon?
It's I'm legendarily like anti-cartoon. I hate animation.
Yes, you're no
even
fun.
As a boy,
fun. Yeah.
Even as a boy, I liked Speed Racer. I like Space Ghost. I like this thing called Tobor the Eighth Man.
Tobor.
Yeah, it was a robot spelled backwards. That's where they stole it. It was kind of like a Alter Boy thing. And there was one more. Oh, Rocket Robin Hood. Like, how do you beat that? Robin Hood in space? Yes, please. But after that, I'm like, I just don't care. And so as an adult, I can get it. Iron Giant's a great movie. Yeah, I cried at the end because I'm not a dick, but like, I don't care. Like, make that movie live action. That's one of my top 5 movies ever. And it's just me personally with my, I don't like cartoons. So given all that, yeah, it's. I'm sure it's great.
I mean, the Iron Giant live action remake is inevitable, Larry, in our lifetime.
That one, yeah, that makes sense. I love it. I would have liked the movie a lot better if it was a movie. And I
don't know if it could have done it. That's one that holds a particular place in my heart for what they pulled off aesthetically.
I'm with you. It's just that part of my heart has a giant callus or is missing or something, because it's like, yeah, do that exact movie with like photorealistic CG and a cute girl and a rugged guy and a plucky kid. I'll fucking love that. That's one of my top 5 movies ever. A cartoon? Yeah, that's Superman. Yeah, good job, everybody. That's all I got for you,
The toughest part about that is like getting a kid actor that's not like super annoying, but that can pull off the enthusiasm. Like in that movie, the kid is really kind of like, is really good. It's a great kid actor, voice actor.
I'm with you, and I agree, even like violently with you, because I hate movies that star kids. So that's what I was trying to say. You can't really turn Prodigy into live action and have me like it, because I hate kid protagonists. No, there is no jeopardy. Hey, there you go. There is no jeopardy when kids are the You know nothing's going to happen to Indiana Jones, but he might get crushed by that boulder. Every time you see a kid running, you're like, that's not even a boulder, because they would hurt the kid if he fell down. Like, I don't care. It checks me out of every kid movie. So, given that, they found a girl that could do Princess Leia. Did you see that? There we go. Rocket Robin Hood.
Star, which I have never even heard of, Larry.
Like, it might be a little before everybody's time. I mean, that's easily like, what is it, 66 or 67? I can't see.
It says
right under it says
66 to 69, but I've never even heard of it.
So I would have been in on the last year or two of that because I was like 5 or 6. There's this like spooky image that's been burned into my brain forever. The Alan and Dale character, one of his buddies, they all have jetpacks. So like, how fucking great is that, right?
Pretty awesome.
And the Alan and Dale character, like their minstrel, like comic relief guy, gets knocked out, and his backpack's still going. So they drew this crazy thing of him jetting across space, like slumped over. There's like, dude, I was like 5 or 6. That's been in my head for 50 years. That it's just this thing, like, oh my God, is Alan gonna die? And that's a thing that you get from cartoons when you're a kid. But like, you know, if I saw that today, I would never stop laughing. Like, it's probably horrible. Like animation in the 60s, it's probably like an illustration with a guy's mouth, like, oh, hey, Robert.
You know, but every once in a while, you got like a couple of the ones that you talked about, like when Alex Toth got involved with it somehow.
Oh yeah, no,
he classed the joint up, like, because since they were doing so little animation, it was like the quality of the line work like came to the front in some of those shows. Like you said Space Ghost. Remember, did you like Galaxy Trio?
No.
Remember that? I love this one that I loved. Similar era.
No, Galaxy Trio, that's like the early 80s, isn't it?
Herculoids. No, Herculoids.
Yeah, no,
Galaxy Trio. Yeah.
I liked Herculoids, okay, but Space Ghost was my guy.
Yeah, very mysterious. And I'll bet you, Larry, did not like or have any interest in like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, that Space Ghost talk show, or any of that.
I was violently opposed to that. I was very upset. So I forget who it was. Not Elliot, but who was the guest before that we had, or somebody was on. They were trying to tell me that, like, it wasn't Eli, but it was somebody like that.
EVS? Like, was it EVS?
No, it was a human being.
Come on.
God, I don't even have anything against that guy. I just like taking shots at him because
I got in trouble for like calling Cyberfrog a alt-right manifesto in the last.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. You know, see, that's the thing about jokes. Like the really funny ones are up to the line, and every once in a while, you're gonna go over. So
totally.
I hope you didn't get in too much trouble.
Nah, I didn't.
Anyway, cartoons. What was I saying? Oh yeah, somebody was saying, you know, hey, if you like Johnny Quest, you'll like Venture Brothers. And I'm like, no, I fucking hate Venture Brothers and all it stands for. And it's because all those guys took my favorite boyhood cartoon, C-Lab 2020, and then they just fucking straight up took all of the animation cells and like redid it and made it funny, which is great if you don't know C-Lab 2020, where all of those guys did all of that shit in dead serious earnest, and all of us kids who really liked watching Jacques Cousteau on Sunday really liked, you know, pre-gaming for Jacques Cousteau or Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with a little C-Lab 2020 on Saturday with our Lucky Charms and whatnot, right? So taking a shit on this stuff that other people did in earnest and is well beloved rubs me the wrong way. But the thing is,
yeah.
Who cares though, right? Like, who remembers that show besides me, right? So I get what they're doing, and it's added value. And if all the contracts were signed and somebody got a little money, right on. But I don't have to watch it.
Well, to me, that's straight up artistic. That's like appropriation. I could see a gripe with that one. Although Venture Brothers is a personal favorite of mine. Like the writing, it's just funny. It's a different thing, completely different thing than the C Lab, writing wise, and
it just seems so. It's the same thing thematically to me, right? That Alex Toth did these cool designs, and Hanna-Barbera hired their writers to come up with this crazy good structure, and then they're like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if they were gay? And wouldn't it be funny if that was a you know what I mean?" It's like it's so like being funny on the backs of others that I kind of like. It's not really making fun of because it's
but they got some
homage and tribute, and it becomes its own thing. So it's kind of hard for anyone to see my point of view on this because I'm like 6 years old going, hey, they took over that thing I liked when I was a kid.
And to me, I'll be honest, like Johnny Quest was all like, it was a bridge too far for me. I love the theme song. The cartoon theme song is one of the all-time greatest TV songs ever made. But like it always just kind of bored me. It wasn't paced right. Like from my fast-paced 80s Pac-Man cereal eating generation.
But do you know why? Which was really cool. Like that's a great observation, and it's true. But the reason everybody my age loves it, because you got to fucking stay up. Johnny Quest was on it was a network show. I think it was on 8:30 at night. And so like that's why it has movie TV credits and the best jazz soundtrack ever. And it's paced like an adventure TV show was back then. So it wasn't really for kids, it was for kids to watch with mom and dad, which is why Reyes was always like boning the dragon lady. It's like it's one of those shows like the old Batman where you can enjoy it at kid level, but you can enjoy it at adult level too.
Okay, Thundar the Barbarian? Nothing? No love for Thundar?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a throwaway thing. Thundar, a runaway planet hurtles between the Earth and the Moon.
So you got it enough to know that. So you like Thundar?
It's Conan with Chewbacca on horses. Then it's just a bunch of nonsense. No, it's minimum effort. Put all this cool shit together and go have a cartoon. But that's what I think of cartoons. Like I finally understand now what regular people think of throwaway pop culture. Is that there's this little segment of pop culture. I'm like, I'm great. Everybody loves that, but it's just I don't care.
Thing about Thundar is when you look at every other cartoon that was coming out at the same time as Thundar, it was some milquetoast, wacky garbage. And especially from even that same company, I think that was Ruby Spears, right? I might be wrong about that. Might have been Filmation. Well, whatever. It was a thing that was, to me, it was like, oh my God, right down to the epic music and that intro that you just remembered and repeated from memory from
I mean, it's a great show.
Decades ago that you watched it. The idea that the moon was cracked in half, there was sorcery and wizardry. And it was obviously like Jack Kirby after watching Star Wars and he's like, okay, here you go, kid. I got a mortgage to finish. I got 3 more years and I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the production of that, but it kind of seems that way, right? Thundar's got a lightsaber. He's got a giant Chewbacca kind of guy, but we can't get too close, so he doesn't have fur. He's got a bird beak. We need a chick. Okay, her name's Valeria, like they always are.
Ookla the Mock. I love Ookla the Mock.
Ookla the Mock. Yeah, Anyway. Yeah.
Named after UCLA, right? Is that what you're gonna say?
No, it was the first I was going to say Ookla, Fran, and Ollie, which I knew was
now then you're old. That is old. That dates you so much to say that. Even me getting that reference, even understanding that reference.
Right, you're a little young to get that reference even, right? Anyway, yeah. I'm old. What are you going to do?
Well, what's funny, we came from a time, so it's weird that you didn't like cartoons so much, because to me it was like my joy. Like I just love cartoons and comics. And it was just the fact that when I first started out, when I grew up, they were not. You couldn't just get cartoons 24/7. It was such a rare thing. Saturday morning was so much just for kids, like the one time on TV that was just for kids. And for all the garbage that was out there, between the three networks, you could piece together a pretty fun, like, viewing experience on a Saturday morning when I'm growing up.
You know, I think just for me, I was comic book nerd. So I would just rather read comics or regular books or like do a model airplane or a tank. Or, you know, I used to sculpt with Sculpey all the time. I used to do shit. So like sitting and watching a cartoon, it was like, well, you weren't a comic book and you weren't a movie. And so I would really have to not have anything else to do to like enjoy a cartoon, you know?
Yeah.
So
for me, cartoons were first, kind of like comic strips, maybe, but like cartoons like Bugs Bunny and
I just don't care.
Friends.
I've seen them all, you know, 100 times, but like I just don't, you know, I'll be like you know, Spike, and hey, come on, Spike, let's go beat up a cat, Spike. You know, I'll do that, and everybody knows, you know, I'm hunting rabbits. I know them all. Everything I know about opera is because of Bugs Bunny, you know. But I just that was the thing that was on. Is it Tom and Jerry? Okay, I just didn't care. I was always doing something else when cartoons were on. I would like, you know, I was probably trying to find like that part to make 3PO's elbow work, you know. Anyway.
Warner Brothers had some pretty wild ones too, where they would really get into, like, they were given money by the State Department to push capitalism. There's a couple of episodes where it's like elves explaining mass production, or like a mouse immigrant from Russia, being introduced to capitalism.
Oh,
and
that's
it was
awesome.
Very clear economic propaganda. And then, not to mention, like, they had straight up racist
caricatures. I knew about those.
Yeah,
that was all part of the stuff that they showed before films, though, right? So it wasn't like that was made for kids, really. It was made for the, you know, family G audience that was going to, you know, sitting through the newsreels and then having a cartoon and then watching some, you know, war movie. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, those weren't made for TV, is what I'm saying, were they?
No, well, there's a couple different kinds. The ones that are like the Bond commercials, no, they were played in the movie theaters for sure. But then there were ones. There's this whole line of Looney Tunes cartoons called Private Snafu, or it's by Warner Brothers, and they were for the military.
Right.
To teach these military lessons. And I love, like, PS Magazine, I think it was called. Will Eisner used to do.
I was just gonna say that's like that Will Eisner thing where you're like, here, just do comics for how to put the Jeep together, Will.
Yeah, he teach you how to service a carburetor.
Right.
Like,
those are great. Have you ever seen those?
Oh, I found them in a bookstore here, and when I moved here for the first time, I'd never seen them. I have a book that collects some of them, but like when I got the actual magazines on my hands, they're fun.
They really are, because you know that was in somebody's pocket, like when he was walking around to the latrine and trying to dodge the major and stuff. You know, I just think that's great.
Well, what's great is that it was for such a, you know, the military industrial complex, right? And they could have got anybody, but they got Will Eisner to, like, and that's a testament probably to Will, who's all working every comics business angle possible.
Well, you know, when he went into the military, he's like, "Hi, I'm the guy who does the Spirit."
Yeah,
right. They're not gonna set him for like bullet loading duty or whatever.
Yeah. No, anyway. Of course.
So that
how great! What an amazing reservoir of talent they're being able to tap into just by drafting humongous swaths of the population and forcing them to fight people overseas.
Right. But fight people, right? Like Clark Gable wasn't doing a bunch of bombing missions, was he? I mean, who knows? Maybe they were. They were the greatest generation, right?
Well, that's kind of the insidious part, right? Is like they draft Elvis Presley, but like it's like, listen, kid, you're gonna help us get a lot more people in here who are not gonna get to just go to perform shows and make movies, and
Yeah, but he got drafted like everybody else. That was 1958. I actually know a lot about that because that was my dad's big claim to fame with his 2 years of military service, that he went on the boat with Elvis over to Germany.
Oh, well, cool.
So he was on the boat with him, and he would see him like from afar, but didn't like get to hang out. But that's okay, because my dad and Elvis were in the army in Germany at the same time.
That's pretty.
My dad had the military experience that Elvis did, right? But just his was luck of the draw. He got to that. Yeah, that's why I said dodging the major, because he was like below a private, specialist 4th class, right? Scum of the scum. But he's the driver for this big shot major, who you can actually Google. He ended up retiring as a lieutenant colonel, who was a big shot. But so my dad's job was to hang out with the Jeep, make sure it was ready to go whenever the major had to go do something. And then when the major had to go do something, he'd have to sit there with the Jeep waiting for the major to get out of his meeting or whatever. So like he missed everything. He basically had stripes for 2 years. And so
but he got that guy, he got that big wig efficiently to and from.
Yeah.
He did what they told him to do and didn't question it.
It was great. Yeah. Learned a little German, chased the German girl.
He's a hero. I mean, we've got okay. So we fought. Well, I mean, in the sense that we treat all veterans as heroes, just for like he didn't know that was what he was going to get to do. For all he
did not. He did not know that.
Are you kidding me? And if I were getting drafted, if that was a thing, and I was ever drafted, it would be like I would just pray to God. I'd be in Canada. I'd be bullet wound to the foot, bone spurs, whatever, something. I'm not going to war.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to jail either.
1958, you were pretty good, though. 58 to 60, which my dad and Elvis went.
Yeah.
It was after Korea and before Vietnam was really going. So, if you're going to do it, my dad, he always talked about it like he hit the lottery, the Army lottery. Anyway.
Well, I mean, since we're on the military subject. I mean, the military elephant in the room. I know you don't like to get political on Serious Star Trek.
No, I got more science fiction to talk about.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah, no. Well, okay, keep it going.
Is this really, you really did want to go political military?
No, I was just going to segue into current events because it's like
this is kind of current events. This is current events for me personally. Everything that's going on, it's fucking weird. My family just finished our watch of Last Kingdom. It's a great Uhtred, son of Uhtred. I really recommend this show. It's like Viking stabbing show. It's great. Anyway, we're looking for a new thing to watch. And Stephen Grant, the writer Stephen Grant, did Badlands, Whisper for First. He's Punisher War Journal. Maybe I should do some of his mainstream stuff. Anyway, respected guy. He's cool as hell. I love that guy. And our buddy Hector, Qui-Gon Gonzalez, said to me at the same day, roughly the same time, it was like within 20 minutes of each other, "Hey, are you watching The Peripheral?" And I was like, "What's The Peripheral?" And they're both like, "No, it's really good. You should check it out." Which I thought was really cool. Like neither one of them tried to talk me into it. They're friends of mine, so they know. It's like, well, we're just telling you it's good, and that we think you will like it. Do with it what you will with that information, and that's like the quickest way to get me to check something out. So I look.
I've heard that name. I don't know anything about it.
Well, I look, and it's like this was last Thursday. It's been on for 5 weeks. It's a Amazon Prime show, but it's based on a book by William Gibson, who's one of my top modern writers. I've fucking never heard of any of this, and it's just because I'm raising a teenage boy, and it's I don't have time for that. I'm keeping up on movie and TV and streaming, so keeping up on fiction is kind of not a thing. I just didn't even know this existed. So I love William Gibson.
That's not on you, Larry. That is this world we're in of streaming services and lack of promotion or perceived need to do any kind of promotion for these shows. Like, where would you have heard about it?
So
Entertainment Tonight, if that exists anymore, like, where are you going to hear about it?
Well, that's true, and that's why I'm glad. I'm glad Hector's there. He's like, "Yo, fucking awesome!" I gotta say thank you. It's completely my kind of show, and they start off, you don't know what the fuck is going on, and then I was just sitting there talking to myself in the living room, and my wife is trying to do her work in her office, which is the next room over, and usually she doesn't care, but she can tell I'm getting like excited. I'm pulled in, trying to figure it out. It's like the pilot is great. And then so she came and watched the second one, and she was in it. So that's top marks for a TV show. That if you're in that overlap between stuff I like and stuff my wife likes,
that's a good place to be.
Because she's nerd adjacent, but sometimes
yeah, totally.
But it's William Gibson, and they totally whatever they did to his book, you can tell it just comes off our TV that William Gibson's coming, because we're just, both of us are big fans. We had a cat named Willie because of chapter 2 in Count Zero, where they say it's called Bobby Pulls a Wilson, and it's about a guy who's been jacked into the Matrix for too long. And our cat was just kind of like that as a kitten. So we were like, Bobby pulled a Wilson. So we named our cat Wilson. We had a cat for 15 years, every day going, "We love William Gibson," down the street at each other. So,
well, so the show,
watch it.
Like, give me a highlight. Give me what's the high?
All right, I'll give you a summation for the first one and then the second one, because bits are revealed. Okay. So it's basically a robot-controlled time travel story so far. Like, that doesn't really clear anything up, does it?
You had me at robot. You had me at row.
Yeah, definitely watch it. It's really good. Chloe, what's the girl from Kick-Ass? Chloe Mertz Getz, 3 names. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kick-Ass.
Oh, she's 20, in her early 20s now.
Hit girl.
And hit girl, exactly. So she's grown up to be, it sounds really dumb at first, right? It's the stupid old trope of, we need the last starfighter, really good guy playing the game, the video game, to do this thing. And her brother is a former military guy that has like some kind of stuff jacked into him. And so he's really good and has reflexes on the game, right? Except she's better because she has innate empathy and all this stuff. And they do this crap.
She's a woman.
Right. That's where you think it's going, right? So you're like, tropey McTrope, blah, blah. Okay, I've seen this 1,000 times. And then it goes into fucking bananas land. And that's why I like it. Because you really get the idea that you've seen this all before. It's like, oh, this part's like, Ready Player One. This plays like Last Starfighter. This part's like, anything with a game. But it's all for guys from the future who have discovered that they can download the data of minds of people jacked into this thing that they made to play this game, to run robot duplicates of them 70 years in the future. Right. And so there's this giant thing going on, because you're like, oh, here's this like bottom of the funnel where, we need the white savior game player. Okay, that's a little more. And then you bring it up until it's like, wait, did that guy just say he's from 2099 and that he's looking for a girl that he doesn't see her and she doesn't believe that she's real because, she's just data from 70 years ago. So there's all kinds of like crazy philosophical things where they start to deal with it and then tell you don't think about that because we're telling this story. The mystery's over here. Like, you can get lost in that, and I'm sure at week 5 there's probably a 10-page Wikipedia entry about this, and 17 people all fighting for like they're the true peripheral fanboys. I just got here and I love it. I think it's great.
Okay, I want to check it out. I mean, isn't it funny that we've got this a pretty long, that's decades. All the William Gibson stuff is old. Like, he's been around for a while. And so we've had all this story, speculative fiction about virtual reality and where it's going and everything else. And now here we are. We're soaking in it right now, right? The metaverse has dropped. But like, dude, I see nothing. There's a cottage industry in making videos on YouTube about how Facebook is failing and how this, like, the metaverse is terrible. And they've bet their whole company on it, and like the whole inflection. So we're in this universe where it's really like starting to happen. Oh, also Apple about to drop their AR device and their whole sealed Apple universe in a couple of months, they say.
I just like that William Gibson. The reason I laughed when you started that is because Mimi and I had that conversation. That it's like, isn't this adorable that William Gibson can't really be, like minutely replicated in other media, because that's just everybody be like, oh, that's how cute 1990 says hi, right? Like we kind of live in a cyberspace world that's beyond. I mean, come on, man. You and me are having a conversation now. My friend Rick Austin shows up from LA. Hector's down there, and I mean, Dave Porter's in Canada, and we're all just like rapping with each other and talking shit about TV. I mean, is there anything more cyberpunk than that? Maybe if you had designed a Blender thing in the back of evoking the Berlin Wall, but put our Star Trek logos all over it. If you had done that, that would be more cyberspace.
Or if I had typed the words Cloud City into an artificial intelligence to generate the background behind me right now. Like, yeah, we're there, but I just feel like we're still far off from a realm where people are really going to want to put those fucking helmets on and just be in that thing all day, especially if it is as lame as the metaverse stuff.
I don't think it's. I think it's going to be like Google Glass. Like, people are trying to solve a problem we don't have, right? It's like, I get the appeal. I get the appeal, but here's the thing: what happens is it's always rich people in porn that start the new tech, and so do rich people want to sit on their ass and look at cool things instead of just go and do cool things, right? So the rich people are gone, and then the porn aspect, it's like, all right, but somebody's got to do it. It's a whole new thing now. I don't know. I'll wait until they choose between VHS and beta, and then I'll let you know.
Well, yeah, right, totally. There's gonna be that war coming, and then I think there's the possibility of leapfrogging helmets and screens pressed up against my eyes. There's just for me, there's no getting around it. No matter how they do it, you're gonna, like, I don't want a screen pouring photons into my eyes. I think they're going to get into a Neuralink type situation, because when you think about it, like, we already come equipped with a holodeck in our heads, right? Like, it works so well. It's unbelievable when you dream. Like, it's complete realism.
I just think, you can't get a new color paint without 5 years of environmental impact, right? You're going to tell me that somebody's going to be like, hey, we did this thing that records your dreams. All you have to do is just leave it on your forehead overnight. I'm sure people will do that, but you can't tell me that's going to, be good for them right away. There's going to be some hidden thing they don't know. It's like, wow, all the people who just did, record a dream are reported they don't know what a tomato is anymore. It's not going to be devastating, but it's like, it's going to be something weird that you can't predict. And so then everybody's not going to do it. And then you have a Google Glass on a shelf going, isn't that cool?
Yeah, Google. I mean, that's the thing. That was too soon. Is it too soon now for there to ever really be mass adoption? I think the mistake they're making with the metaverse is trying to make it boring too soon. Like, you can have meetings and have Zoom calls in it. And it's like, what the dude?
So,
give
yeah.
Blade Runner. Give me Total Recall. Give me give me the Matrix. Give me that stuff. Give me the killer cutting edge experience that I can't get any other way. And I don't mean like playing Parappa the Rapper with a helmet on. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. We kind of touched this somewhere on one of the conversations we've had in the last week or two. That I'm like, I'm like a hair claustrophobic. So putting on a helmet, it has to be like a Batman mask, and I have to be punching criminals, right? It's not just going to be like, here are my new glasses. It's just all over my head, which is the subsection of I have prescription glasses, right? So like, I don't get how that's going to work when I have shitty eyesight. So you might as well plug it into my brain. Except, I like knowing all the captains of the Enterprise in order. You know, I don't want something taping over something because, here's like that you had that, meeting with your old college professor that you thought that was life changing and want to like see that again. Okay, that's cool. Except you don't know what the number 5 is anymore. I mean, like stuff is going to your brain. You just don't want to mess with your brain. That's all. I've seen movies.
Part of me is thinking though we're headed towards I don't know, how things swing back and forth, right? More liberal and conservative, whatever. So have we swung so far into like embrace techno to the point where I want to strap my fucking phone to my face that there could be just a whole generation of people that just are like, no, just forget about it. Is that wishful thinking on my part to think that like you could even do that?
No, I think I agree with you 100%. It's just what is the percentage going to be, right? Because I am of the belief, I've lived long enough that I've seen this happen enough that I think it's a truism that no matter what you bring up, what subject at all, a third of the people are not going to like it. There's going to be some people that are really into it. There's people you can talk into it, and then there's people you can't. And that happened. I noticed that with the Ross Perot thing. I started like seriously speaking of politics. I was of the age where I was like starting to really pay attention. And he was a businessman in Dallas when we lived down there. So my dad had opinions on him, which was a really fun time. So I was paying attention, right? And I realized that guy's never getting more than 30% of the vote because that's what happens when you have 3 people in a room, right? One person's going to do what they want. 2 people can't agree, like even if they agree not to do the thing, right? The 3 people now it's fucked up, right? And I think that no matter the scale, that happens at all the time.
Yes.
So I think a third of the people will put that thing on immediately, and I think a third of the people are like, they'll try it at like the Christmas party, and then a third of people would be like, I'm sorry, I'm whittling my wood things to make you know what I mean. I think that's
part of it is going to be a class divide anyway.
Well, yeah,
with how expensive the equipment is. There's already one like emerging in like the high end headsets are really expensive, like more than anybody, more than you're going to spend for just a fun kind of toy. So it's a little wild, but what you brought up there, kind of the tragedy of the commons or whatever, like the idea we talked about it. I talked about it last week.
Don't change my name to Captain Tragedy.
Well, I talked about it last week where it's like, dude, the fine line in my mind between a utopia and a dystopia. Like, as soon as you tell me like the Earth has a one world government where it's like we're all on the same team and there's no like, I just don't know that that's the natural way for humanity to work. And like, it would probably be under that situation. There would be a significant, maybe 30% of the people that would just be like seriously oppressed and like not doing things the way they wanted to do because they have to.
There's no way you could do it now, but I mean, it's because we're all, you can say we're all together all the time, but we're not, for all the myriad reasons that everybody knows, right? But the second, the grays come and reveal themselves. And now it's Earth versus like Zeta Reticuli 3, but the Nordics and the lizard guys are already thrown in now. And so there's this four-way battle. Then you'd probably get okay, who's speaking for Earth, right? So you'd get a one world government, but you need something outside for that to happen.
Well, that's yes, we would get a militaristic reactionary government from the fear of the threat of aliens. Like that is like the thing, of course. But then what would we become? Would we be the Federation or would we be the Empire? And I just feel like,
hopefully you get whatever is the inciting incident is more First Contact Vulcans, where a whole bunch of guys are like, listen, we know this is freaky, but we've kind of just not dealt with emotions for a while. And we suggest that maybe we just deal with this logically. If you get those guys, it's probably going to be okay, right? But if you get like, we've come for your seawater, it's then, of course, it's a military reaction, right? I don't know. But it's whatever it is, it has to be an outside force for it to work because everybody, all politics is local, right? You have to just change local to being our whole planet. That's all.
I mean, so it's things like that make me so suspicious of all the government releasing all these UFO things. Like, what are they getting us ready for? What are they priming the pump for psychologically by releasing that kind of info?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of
ultimate like false flag one world government play would be Ozymandias style fake an alien attack or alien invasion, and then the reaction to that is going to be like use the fear. Because dude, if you can get people afraid of Mexicans to elect Donald Trump, what could you do about people afraid of xenomorphs? You can get a lot of action on Fox News with that.
What did Hector say? I last about 30 to 40 minutes until I start feeling it. On those games.
Yes.
Not
on political talk on Serious Star Trek.
Man. But it's like everything is, like I said, all politics is local. It's like everything is politics, right? I mean, why are those game consoles coming out now, right? It's because, I don't know. Do you know?
That's the other thing.
I live on the beach, man. I go for a walk. I don't care about any of that shit.
Well, it's also the great war of logic and emotion, just in general. And it's like, I think I'm so profound when I think of these things, and I go like, they've been thinking about this forever. Roddenberry was thinking about this when he created Spock.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like the idea that like logic is correct. It is just empirically provable and correct, but it is undeniable that most people do not believe, like they don't function. They function more on emotion. So it is illogical to be strictly logical in your thinking if you really want to make big changes. That's what's pretty wild to me. I came to that conclusion after getting married. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one. There is that's in our house. We kind of shorthand that for a lot of things. That there's a reason there's a different word for everything, right? So you can't tell somebody that I think I should kill you, right? Because you're not reasoning that. You're like emotionally upset. And you're like, I feel like I should kill you.
Yes.
So think and feel are two different things, and a lot of people don't grok that. So
that I always get it, but I always I would always go like, well, logic is more important, and then I would go, at the very worst, logic is like equally important. Like we have to keep both into. Yeah. The truth is not that at all. Emotion is 80%, maybe 90% of the forces making us make our decisions. And advertising in Madison Avenue has known that forever, and they use that to manufacture desire in us.
Sure. And speaking of government control, Rick Austin, who I if I was writing dialogue, I would have written this exact thing because I know him so well. I know most of the stuff that he's read about this subject. because I lent it to him. So he's 100% right about this. Have you ever read the Brookings Report? That's what everybody. I forget what it's officially called, but it's something like the Brookings Report on what if aliens come down and kill us all. It's from 1960, and it's all of that. Like religion would collapse, society would collapse, but it's like 120 pages long. It's great. But that's Rick is 100% right. It's like if everybody's, in their old all politics is local thing, if you got North America over here and put Russia and China over there and just keep it that way, and then we don't have to deal with these fucking Earthmen. They're always pointing their guns at everything. You have your stuff doesn't get out for resources, hopefully, and Earth can be nice and quiet. Have you ever heard the conspiracy thing about all the Space Force patches and stuff like that? That's the usual shield, but it has the Star Trek, arrowhead on it. But it's usually has most patches have a bit of the Earth with 3 orbits around it, and and so the conspiracy thing is that there's an energy shield around the Earth preventing us from seeing what else is going on. I'm not sure I buy that one. But I am widely read in the alien conspiracy thing, if you want to do a whole show on that. Speaking of politics.
We probably
Bob Lazar, man, from Area 51.
Oh, well, I'm glad you told me that, Larry, because the conspiracy theory, guys, remember that conspiracy theory comic that we reviewed?
Yes.
A few weeks ago? The one with the dudes going with their history professor or whatever, their anthropology professor. So they're like, oh, it sounds like you guys like that. So they sent me the rest of the issues of that. So that was going to maybe be tomorrow on $1 Million Mailbox, but I don't know yet. I haven't picked out. I know for sure there's a couple things for sure that I want us to look at, but I got to get prepped for that, man.
I have a giant box of Planet Lair stuff. If you ever want to do if you got like 3 things, but you need a 4th or whatever. You can.
Yes, I do, Larry. I always want. I want the Planet Lair.
I'm trying to get you everything we published, and
what's my favorite AIT Planet Lair book? It's probably Switchblade Honey.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
That's going to be that's the one that jumps right to mind for me.
Mine, they're all my children, so I really get the whole, I love them all in different ways. But then stuff I really love Ursula. Did you ever read that one?
I don't know if I read that one.
It was a book that Mimi did. She found the artists. She did all of the pre-press and stuff, and it was the only book that Variety gave us an A+ on. So I just love that I got all the awards and attention and shit. You're the fucking mastermind, puppet master of everyone. And she just comes in and goes, yeah, here's a brilliant little fairy tale.
Awesome.
Peace out.
Switchblade Honey, don't you think that's the most Dan Tron-esque Star Trek thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. Warren Ellis just went Star Trek if Captain Kirk was played by Roy Winston, and it's the Dirty Dozen in space. And I just was like, all right. Brandon McKinney's not doing anything.
It had a dark edge. It's been so long since I've read it. I got to go back. I have a copy here. I'll go back and read it again. But I just remember the angle on the Federation being a lot less altruistic than.
Well, they're kind of are you watching Andor or not? The characterization of that they gave the administrative level of the Empire is really kind of what his space fleet is like, and it turned all the guys into dickheads, right? Because that's the situation they're in. And I thought that was a really cool. I mean,
Uh-oh. I lost Captain Fun. Larry, I lost you there.
For a sec, right? Yeah.
Quite a bit.
I was just a little behind you. It was just some kind of.
Okay.
Anyway, I was just saying, Warren, it's Star Trek but bitter. You know, it's like that's kind of a minimum effort, but because he's such a good writer, you know, that's his theme. That's what he likes to do. It's, you know, Girl Scouts but bitter. Anyway.
That's why he's one of my favorites. I miss the guy. He got canceled, but I think he'll be back. He self-canceled.
Yeah, you know, whatever. I separate the art from the artist. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I have nothing to say about anybody's personal life. I'm not involved in his personal life. I don't know.
Separate the art from the artist. That's what Marvel management used to say too, but they meant it in a different way.
They meant it, yeah, more, speaking of class struggle. And
Larry, that sound means I made a silly in-joke about Marvel editorial. I gotta get out of here. I gotta go make some moolah. Gotta go make it rain. It's I'll be gone all next week.
yeah. Well, it's Thanksgiving week anyway, right?
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to be around Tuesday. If you and John want to make it happen, just you let me know. I'll make sure that it's set up. But I might even be on the road at that point. So I don't think I'm going to be able to
have an awesome trip. Moving the fam around is very. I remember those days with the youngins. It's like moving the military. Like, we need to get the resources over there before we can advance over here.
Well, we take it slow now too, dude. Since we flipped over the Dantron shuttlecraft.
I remember, man, that was crazy.
Ever since that, we'd like take the trip like it's a 2-day trip to get. Yeah. That used to be a 1 day. We just go slow and enjoy ourselves and have fun and aren't all tense. It seems to work a little bit better. But speaking of tense, tomorrow we'll be back with Elliot R. Brown at noon. He's going to give the real deal on the $1 Million Mailbox. I'm so excited about that.
And we're going to be broadcasting from tents. That's why you're speaking of tents.
It's going to be intense.
We're going to be intense.
like fire at the circus. It will be intense. I've got to take us out today, man. Oh man, we didn't get to talk about it. I was trying to shoehorn in Russian missiles straying into Poland, but somehow Larry's like, no, deflector shields. Deflector shields. You know, sci-fi.
I like escapism to escape from the real news.
I'm with you. Yeah. And so in that vein, I've got a little escapist clip to take us out on, a little something to think about as the missiles are floating. You guys. Okay, it's not going to be next week, but we'll be back the following week after Thanksgiving on Tuesday, ideally at 3 p.m. Earth Pacific time. But Larry, Captain, my Captain, where will it be?
On the internet.
Right, and Tom Servo from Oak Ridge rockets into the lead with 15 Curies and 20 Rems. It's time for the Fallout Elimination Round. The winner will receive a complete thermolactic nuclear fallout shelter, complete with a 17-year supply of canned food and 500,000 chlorine water purification tablets. There are 2 questions. Number 1, the category is Hollywood Legends. Name the movie with the most radioactive and deadly set. Gypsy.
Moby Dick with Richard Basehart?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're out of the game. Crow from Los Alamos.
The Conqueror.
Is correct. Just ask John Wayne or Agnes Moorehead. Now, on to our final question. What is the most practical thing you can do in the event of a total thermonuclear war? Tom Servo of Oak Ridge.
Duck and cover!
Wrong. Crow, Los Alamos.
Stick your head between your knees and kiss your... Help me.